All right, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Hello and welcome to the Jackson Get to College Parent Lunch and Learn webinar. During the next hour, our counselors will tell you what you need to know about college admissions and financial aid. Get to College is a program of the Woodward Hines Education Foundation. We're a nonprofit program. Everything we do is free, and we do everything about planning, preparing, and paying for college. I'm Malia Dicker. I'm the Jackson Center Director, and I'll go ahead and have our other presenters introduce themselves. Kierstan?
Hey guys, my name is Kierstan Knaus, and I am one of the in-house counselors here in the Jackson Center, as well as a project manager for our FAFSA scaling efforts across the state of Mississippi.
And Danny?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Danny Thompson. I am the Assistant Director of Outreach in our state and local Jackson area. So I go out to schools and I talk to parents like yourselves and students and just kind of give them information on making the big transition from being a high school senior to a college freshman.
So just a few housekeeping details. We can't see you or hear you, but you can reach us throughout the webinar through the Q&A or the chat. So the Q&A is for anything related to the material we're presenting. And so you can type your questions there. We'll either get back to you by text or we will answer it live. And if you have anything you want to just say hello, or if you have a technical difficulty, please use the chat box and we'll also help you out. And I guess I will go ahead and turn it over to Kierstan. The rest of us will turn off our video and mute while we're not speaking. So Kierstan, take it away.
Great, thank you, Malia. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you guys my screen and launch the PowerPoint. All right, so I want to welcome everybody again, like Malia said, to the Lunch and Learn. We're based out of here in Jackson, but we're really glad that a lot of people across the state are being able to utilize this resource. Hopefully we'll do more of these in the future and be able to provide more information for you. We're going to kind of talk about what you as a parent or as a student need to be doing to help your students prepare for the next level, whether it's a community college or certificate program or a four-year university. If you got a freshman high school, sophomore, junior, or senior, there's things that you can be doing along the way in preparing you as a student or as a parent or as a influencer within a student's life to help them. So let's kind of dig in and see what should you be working on now. I know sometimes the idea of college can be a little bit of a daunting task for parents to think about, and particularly students. There's a lot of things to be working on. So we've broken it down by semester. So this is for those seniors out there or parents of seniors. These are some things that you guys can be working on and doing and helping your students. So the first on our list is a resume. This is really important to go ahead and have it ready for the fall semester. If your student is at home right now and they're binge watching Netflix and you know that's exactly what they're doing and eating all of your food, this is something that you can definitely take away and say, listen, I learned about this today. We got to get you doing some stuff. So there are major categories that you as a parent or you as a student can definitely make sure are on your resume. You want to highlight your academics. You want to make sure that you show what your good GPA or your high ACT score, or if you've taken challenging classes like dual enrollment, advanced placement, any sort of honors courses, you want to brag on yourself. So this is the point where you want to highlight to your admissions committee or your scholarship committee, hey, I've worked really hard on this academic area and this is what I have to show for it. You also want to make sure that you have in there honors and awards. If your student is one that you as mom and dad or as a older sibling can brag about for all day long, it's awesome and so glad that they have all those accolades. But unfortunately, you can't go to the scholarship committee or you can't go to the admissions committee and explain why your child deserves all of these great scholarships. It's the student's resume and essays that have to do that for them. So making sure you're recording on the resume all of the achievements that they've done. Also, you want to make sure that you highlight their involvement, whether they've held a leadership position, how long they've been involved, showing that they've been in the band from freshman year until their senior year, and they got first chair their sophomore year. Those are really important things that you want to highlight. So it's everything from freshman year until current. So if they know that they're doing a mission trip and they do a mission trip every single summer to Honduras, you can go ahead and kind of put that on your resume for anticipated summer of 2018, because then they know they're still going to be doing it after they graduate, so they can get recognition for continued support. That kind of leads us into community service. This is really big for colleges these days. So if your student is not required to do community service for a club or for the school themselves, I would really encourage them to go ahead and start doing that. Hopefully they have had some sort of community service, but if they haven't, it's not too late. We've still got pretty much a month in July, and then they've got the rest of their senior year. But community service is important, not just to do it to check it off on a resume, but it's going to be good for them to find something that they really enjoy and are passionate about. Because more than likely, there's going to be some sort of scholarship essay or an admissions essay that's going to ask them about their community service experience. And you want to be able to have them have an enriching conversation about what they've learned or how they've been humbled or how they've been able to help people through that community service. And make sure that you keep track of the total number of hours that they participate in that, because you want to make sure that they are getting recognition for what they've been doing. It looks really impressive when you can say you have 900 hours of community service on a resume. Campus visits. This is something that you should hopefully already be doing with your student if you've got a senior. This is a really great time of year to do this. If you've got a last minute summer beach trip planned like myself for the end of July, you can even incorporate campus visits during this time. Think about how many, if you're going between here and Destin, colleges that you pass by. Go through Hattiesburg, we've got Southern Miss and William Carey. We've even got Pearl River Community College south of Hattiesburg there. You've got Mobile, where you've got Spring Hill, South Alabama. You've got in Pensacola, University of West Florida. So you've got a plethora of public, private, two-year schools that you're passing right by that you can incorporate within your vacation. Or if you have the opportunity to do a specific campus visit, if your student is looking out of state and they want to for sure go away from mom and dad, but they're not so sure about flying on a plane themselves, they definitely need to go and do that, because if it's a 2-hour plane ride but a 10-hour drive, are they okay with either one of those options? And doing that campus visit will really display that to them, and it will also allow them to see, is this really what I thought it was going to be? A lot of students will say, oh, I want to go to this school because I've been a fan of that school my entire life, or all of my family has gone to a certain place, or it looked cool from the brochures that they've sent me. Well, we all know those brochures look pretty much all the same. It's beautiful weather. It's got a really diverse group of students that are always happy on the front, and it doesn't show you when it's raining and they've got construction and you have to walk around campus and it's been a long all-nighter the night before and you're just glad to be able to be sitting in class. So those are some things that you need to make sure your student experiences so the expectation and reality are on the same playing field. College applications. For those of you that are seniors or parents of seniors, guess what? Those applications for some schools in Mississippi are already available. Ole Miss, they started their application to be available on July 1, so your student can apply to college today if they're looking to go there. For some other major schools around the area, Mississippi State, Southern Miss, Jackson State, they all open on midnight on August 1st. Some of your schools that are four-year public universities actually prioritize the housing application based on when the admissions application is available. This is something to keep in mind if you're an underclassmen parent of, okay, we need to have our ducks in a row, knowing where my student is going to apply to by really July, August of their senior year. It's okay if you don't get the first application in, but just being aware of this is going to be really important. Also, some private schools, they set their own deadlines, so you need to make sure that if there is some sort of a decision commitment that's either financially binding or admissions binding, if your student is looking at that type of institution, that you're well aware of that and that they're not just applying and now all of a sudden you're financially committed. This is a really great thing to ask them when you go on those campus visits to the schools. In terms of community colleges in Mississippi, most of those applications are going to be available September, particularly late September, and for sure in the beginning of October. They're a little bit later, but if your student is looking to apply to a community college and a university, I'd encourage to go ahead and have them begin that process. Something to keep in mind, your student should apply to at least 3 colleges. You're 50% more likely to enroll if you apply to at least 3 schools. And those schools, they need to be realistic. So you can have absolutely your dream school. It can be a reach for you, whether it's financial, social, academic. Then you need to have a school that's a good fit for your student. So it is a place that your student knows that they can get some sort of academic scholarship. They can really find what they want. It's the school that they really more than likely are telling people they want to go to. And then you need to find a match school that matches all of your needs as a parent, as a student, making sure that they have some sort of a plan no matter what happens in the next 12 months. They're going to be continuing their education somewhere. College scholarships, this is something to keep in mind when you go on those campus visits, to ask about when they open. I can tell you some of them open in September, some of them are open in October. Deadlines vary across the board. You're going to find most of the 4-year public institutions in Mississippi are going to have winter deadlines. So that's going to be Mississippi State Southern Miss as December the 1st. Ole Miss is going to be January the 5th. Jackson State is February the 14th. So as you can see, it varies across the board based off the type of school. That particular institution scholarship office has set those deadlines only for that one school. So we can't say across the board when they're due. Community colleges, they're not going to be due until February or March. They're a lot later on that scale. Again, asking on that campus visits can be really important to know so you don't miss the deadlines. Outside scholarships, FAFSA, and state aid, we're going to learn more about those in a little bit, but the one thing I want to reiterate with all 4 types of scholarships or financial aid to pay for school, it's all about the deadlines. You don't want to miss them. You want to make sure they're on your radar. And you want to make sure that you utilize the earlier the better. So make sure that you pay attention what Danny says in terms of what do these 4 sources of financial aid mean, and you ask your specific school that your student's looking at as to when those priority deadlines are. ACT prep. ACT is a hot item for seniors and underclassmen. I want to make sure you guys know about some resources that we have. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys and show you the ACT prep. We've got some resources on our website. So if you haven't, if you guys haven't checked out our website, Danny's going to have it on the screen, but it's gettocollege.org. Let me show you the ACT resources that we have. If you go under Plan for College, ACT, and SAT, if you're like, I have no idea when the ACT is even offered, don't worry. We've got them listed out here for you. We've got when the regular deadline is, as well as the late fee is required dates. And these are the test dates. If you've got parents in the audience who have had older students and you're like, wait, I don't remember a July test date being on an option. It's new this year. So they've added one more test date. And those that have junior students that are in the audience, you guys will be provided by your school district an ACT. So you get an extra one as well. So these are the national test dates that are at a testing center wherever your student traditionally tests. The fees and registration is all done through actstudent.org. We've also listed out SAT. If your student is interested in doing SAT, or if they're looking at an institution that requires the subject test, some out-of-state and more selective institutions do require specific subject tests. Again, another thing to ask about on that campus visit. It's really listed out all here, as well as the prices for each one of those. We've got some test taking strategies that are really great for your student to review. So if they're binge watching Netflix currently, you may want to text them this link and have them go through. We've got them based off subject area and just general test taking. We've also at the top have our ACT prep videos from our YouTube channel, which we found to be very successful. They're quick, a couple minute videos, and just give you hints on tips on how to test take. We've also offer ACT prep workshops. So if you go to our page under what we do, we've got ACT prep workshops. And this lists out the ones that we offer in center areas. So if you have access to one of our centers either in the South Haven area, here in Jackson metro area, or on the Gulf Coast in Ocean Springs, we do offer some free ACT prep where we go over all 4 of the subjects and tips and strategies on how to complete the ACT with those strategies. The registration, if you'll click on each one, it lists out the dates and when the registration opens. Piece of advice, insider info, they go very quickly, so you definitely want to be on the shotgun at 6 a.m. when they open and register. If for some reason you are not able, or you're outside our area and the dates just don't work for you, you can look at these ACT tips here. We've hyperlinked a lot of great resources, so maybe you watch our YouTube videos and you have your student do some practice tests on some of these websites utilizing our strategies and suggestions. So this is a great free resources when it comes to ACT prep. Now let's go back over. So we've talked a lot about seniors. Let's talk about some underclassmen. These are some things that you can encourage your student, whether they're freshman, sophomore, or junior in high school, to definitely utilize and prepare them for their senior year. As you can see, there's a lot to be done in fall of your senior year. So everything that you can do now to build up for your student to be ready for that will definitely benefit them. So attending the college fair. Most all high schools have a college fair. Some areas like the Gulf Coast have a area-wide college fair. In North Mississippi, DeSoto County does a county-wide college fair. So make sure that your student is paying attention to the announcements from the counselor on when the college fair will be. If you as a parent have time to be able to go to that college fair, it's great, but it's okay, don't worry. I'm sure your student will come and bring a lot of brochures, but the most important thing that they can take away is the card for the recruiter. Danny will talk about this. Anybody you meet from Get to College will talk about this. We'll say the recruiters are your best friends when it comes to searching for colleges. So make sure your student not just goes and gets pens or Frisbee or free things, but they actually take away something substantial, which is the business card for the recruiter for the schools that they're interested in. When they're at the college fair, a lot of schools will have them fill out an information card. If your student is interested or wants to be on the radar for that particular school, they need to definitely fill out that info card or go on the school's website to get on their mailing list. They may or may not be getting things from schools, but if they're not getting things from schools, it may be that the school doesn't know that they're interested. So that's one thing that you can encourage your underclassmen to do, is begin searching different schools that they're interested in, and on the websites, fill out the contact information so they get on that mailing list. So they understand, hey, there's an event coming to my area. I would like to go and meet the recruiter at it. So they're invited to those type of things. High school resume, we talked a lot about it earlier. Best advice that I got when I was doing my college search was a admissions counselor told me my freshman year of high school to go ahead and begin a notebook recording everything that I've done. And I'm so thankful I did. I got a leadership scholarship based off my resume that made college really inexpensive for my parents, because I was able to record all of the things through my 4 years of high school instead of having to go back my senior year and remember what I was doing 3 years ago and how many hours did I volunteer at that church event type of thing. So those that are underclassmen, if you're not already doing it, I would suggest starting a note on your phone, going to the Dollar Tree and getting an old school notebook, whatever it takes. Go ahead and start recording all this involvement and community service and anything outside the classroom, awards, so it makes your life a lot easier in the future. College search, go ahead and start that. There's a really great website. It's put on by College Board, which is the organization that offers AP Advanced Placement Tests and the SAT. They've got a really great website that can be used for finding a major, finding scholarships, but also for college search. It's called bigfuture.collegeboard.org. Danny will also have this information when he does his portion, but I want to go ahead and get you guys thinking about and checking out this website after the webinar, because it's a really great resource for your student who has maybe no idea of what they want to go to college and what they want out of college, to go ahead and begin filtering. It brings up things like, can you have a car on campus freshman year? Your freshmen in high school may not have ever thought about that. And those are some things that you can filter it by, and they can kind of start into the conversation of what's important to them. And you guys can be thinking as a parent, what's important to you as well. And then begin researching about college majors. Some schools, some students have a specific major, and some schools that they maybe have been considering don't offer it. So that's a deal breaker right there. Make sure that as they're researching about the different schools, they're also researching about what types of majors are out there, and hopefully they can start deciding what they may be interested in. So the spring for the seniors, this is a lot of work in the fall. Hopefully it's rewarding you in the spring. This is when you kind of find to talk a lot more about money. So there are some local scholarships. Majority of them are offered, and their submission is in the spring. So most of the fall will be for university scholarships, for maybe some outside scholarships, or maybe a few local, but majority of the local ones we tend to see are going to be due in the spring semester. So keep your eyes out for those. A lot of times the counselors are a great resource when it comes to knowing about what have been given in the past, or what businesses would like to offer that high school student some sort of local scholarship. Again, campus visits. Maybe you're between two different schools. Maybe your senior really loves two different institutions, one's in-state, one's out-of-state, and you've narrowed it down to those two from their searching. Go and do another visit. Go and revisit the academic department. Talk to the honors college. Going back for that second visit, you kind of know what to expect, and you can have more targeted questions as you've narrowed down between those. And then financial aid packages should be coming your way late spring, so April, May, maybe as early as March for some schools. This is where you find out how much money you're getting. This is going to be really important for you, particularly as parents, to make sure that your student is checking their online account. It used to be back in the day you got a mail of a letter. Now it's all on their online portal. So whether it's, my state account or my Hines or your Bulldog account or your PAWS account, whatever online account, there's school awards your student, whether their username and password as their student ID number, that's where the financial aid packaging is going to be. So we're going to accept or decline your financial aid. Everything is scholarship, everything that's grant or free money, and we know that loans are not free, but sometimes needed. So you should be able to review, accept, or decline your financial aid by that May 1st deadline. Nationally, across the board, May 1st is National Decision Day when it comes to where your student's going to school. Many schools in Mississippi, outside of Mississippi, have that as a deadline when they have to commit either financially to that school or accept your scholarships by that deadline, indicating to the school that's where you plan to attend. And then if you have any issues, you need help doing your master promissory note, you don't really understand what the financial aid package is telling you, you want someone to decipher it for you, or if you as a parent just need a third party to tell your student realistically how much it costs to go to school, don't worry, we've done it, we've been there, and we can play that role for you. So Get to College is there to help you, whether it's virtually where we have a one-on-one appointment like this, or it's a one-on-one in our center areas with the center appointments. Underclassmen, there's still things that you guys can be doing. Spring is really a great time, particularly for juniors. So if you're a junior parent out there, this is a really key area that you need to be transitioning. It's ACT time. They need to be, if they haven't already taken the ACT, which they probably have at school, they need to be go ahead and transitioning and getting that ACT ready. Starting those campus tours pretty early, right? So campus visits, even underclassmen, if you're going on vacation, incorporate a campus visit. It's the best thing you can do, exposing your students to options, different types of schools. If they don't want to go to a small school, go visit a large school when you're on vacation. Maybe they rule that out and then they see that they really want a small school. Maybe they decide they want to go close to home because they don't want to have to fly there. So incorporating as early as possible, setting that college expectation will be really key. Summer internships, job shadowing, this is really great. It adds to the resume, one, but it also will give them a realistic expectation. If they say they want to be a doctor and they do job shadowing and they puke on the first day because of all of the liquids that they see, probably not the best idea for them to go and be a doctor. There's a lot of other things in the medical field, like being an accountant or the administration at a hospital or doing office management at a hospital. There's a lot of different areas that they can do within healthcare that doesn't have to require seeing all of those liquids. A lot of students think that they want to do something, but when they actually do job shadowing or internship, it eliminates or it validates for them. So giving them those opportunities will be really important. Summer programs are great. I always encourage students who don't have a lot of summer plans to utilize them. Most universities offer them. You can go to the Gulf Coast with Southern Miss for marine biology. Millsaps College here in Jackson has several of them. I know Alabama has an engineering one. You can go to an Ivy League school and do a summer program. So there's a lot of different options. It gives the students a chance to test run college, essentially, because you'll have the professors that are in college, probably more interactive than just sitting in a class, but it gives them also a chance to live in a dorm away from mom and dad and eat the food, which is going to be really important. Is it good or not? Because you're going to be eating it for the next 4 years. And then making an appointment with Get to College and ACT Prep. You've seen our resources. I can't reiterate enough the importance of ACT. If you don't know it, if you've been living under a rock, it's what a lot of universities use. Welcome to the new age. ACT is highly important, but also we are here at Get to College to aid you with whatever questions that you may have. Have a list of questions from the webinar. Shoot us an email. Let us answer those for you. Let us help you in any way that we can. So I am going to close out my session and hand it over to my coworker, Danny. And we're going to go a little bit more in depthly.
All right, guys, I am going to share my screen now with you guys. Give me 1 second to share my screen. All right, so if you're a first-time parent, I wish I could see your hands. If you're a parent of a first-time senior, let me tell you the biggest argument you guys are going to have. Mom, why can't I go to school here? Son, daughter, have you done your research? No, we can afford it. Look, that is the biggest argument I see between student and parents when it comes to their senior year. So look, I'm going to start something that you guys can, I'm going to show you something that you guys can start a dialogue on. It's called the net price calculator, okay? So the net price calculator is something that I think is pretty cool. I found some people who don't think the same as I do, but let me tell you why I think it's pretty cool. Because it gives us a starting point. It gives us something to talk about. You know, my coworker Kierstan just talked about the price of college. When you get that financial aid award notification, how much does it cost? Well, sometimes, guys, when you see that as a parent or a student, it blows your mind. So before we even get to that point, let's start that process and let's start a dialogue with it. So as you can see on the screen, it says net price calculator. I want to say it was 2011. The federal government mandated every school, public and private, 2-year, 4-year, to put what's called a net price calculator on their website. Now, I will tell you this. When it first initially came out, some schools did not want you to see it. They put it as deep or as they could on their website. You would have to flip through page to page, through tabs, but finally found it. Now, community colleges, you might find those, it's on the front page. Community colleges want to show you how inexpensive it is to go to a community college and take the same courses that you might take at a 4-year public or private. So look, it's really generic. Some of them are really generic. Some of them haven't even been updated this year, but I'll tell you what it does. It typically takes a student to put in their GPA, their ACT score, how many people live in the house. If they know about, you know, family income, they can input that. And when it's all said and done, the school spits out what we call a net price calculator chart. Some might look different, but it will kind of show you ballpark how much it costs to go to school there and all the merit aid or the federal aid or the school aid you're going to get, okay? So let me give you an example. So the next screen that I'm showing you, Mississippi State was one of the first schools to do it last year. Give me a minute. It's not working. Here we go. All right, here we go. Mississippi State was one of the first schools to do it last year. Now, this is last year because they haven't updated theirs with a good chart yet. I actually did some research, they've changed some things. But look, so here's what I did. I went to Mississippi State's net price calculator, guys. I put in that I made like a 27, 28 on my ACT, and you guys can play around with that. I put that I was in a household of 4. I grew up in a single parent home, so I kind of used my own story, my own testimony. And my mom at the time made about $35,000 when I was coming up. So with that being said, I put all that into my net price calculator at Mississippi State, and this is what it spit out. Now, let me say this. The reason I use Mississippi State or Ole Miss is because those two schools are our largest two schools in the state. And those are the two schools that make it mandatory that if you don't graduate from a high school within, let's say, a 25, 30-mile radius, it is mandated that you have to stay on campus as a freshman. We call it retention. They call it retention. The reason why is because they feel like if they can get your student, your freshman on campus, introduce them to new people, introduce them to new community service projects, introduce them to new clubs, organizations, they are more likely to tell you when they come home for the summer or Christmas break, Mom, I can't wait to go back next year. Dad, I can't wait to go back next year. So it's retention, okay? So let's look at it. The first one says tuition and fees. On this chart here, it says it's $7,780. I can just tell you now, at Mississippi State, it has gone up this year to about $8,300 for tuition. Tuition and fees, guys, is just how much it costs to allow your student to go sit in class every day, okay? And then room and board. Look, these schools have phenomenal dorms now for students. They look like condos. I joke a lot about they look like condos, but you have to pay for those condos. So room and board. The room is your dorm room, which typically they have a roommate. Some have single rooms. Board is your meal plan. All freshmen are typically required at Mississippi State and Ole Miss to get the highest meal plan. That's eating 5 days a week, 3 times a day, and then even maybe twice on a Saturday, twice on a Sunday. So with all that being said, you add those two numbers up, you come up with $17,198. Guys, that is called total estimated direct cost. That means no matter who you are, where you're going, what you want to pay, if you plan to go to Mississippi State as a freshman, you have to stay on campus and you have to pay for classes. So that direct cost of $17,198 is a fee that you cannot get by, okay? Then they estimate things for books and supplies, other personal transportation. You see that total comes out to be $23,584. Now, with my ACT scores that I inputted on the net price calculator, with my GPA that I inputted, my parents' income, all that stuff being said, with my GPA and my ACT score, it says, look, we think you're going to be eligible for a $2,000 academic excellence scholarship. That is $2,000 every year. So basically $8,000. Okay, so $2,000 a year. Then, based on my mom's income that I put in, I was eligible for a Pell Grant. I'll explain what a Pell Grant is a little later, but it's free money I never have to pay back. So with my scholarship and my estimated Pell Grant, that totaled out to be $7,815. Okay? Now, with that being said, before I start my first day of class, I have to have my bill paid in full or have an arrangement to have my bill paid in full in the upcoming months. All right? So you see what my gap is? $15,769. So now we have to figure out how to pay for that. Parents, let me tell you this. When you show your students this is your opportunity to say, I told you so. Because they sometimes really don't have an idea of how much it really costs to go to college. This is the first place I would start so we can start a conversation about what we can afford, what's the best fit, what's the best match, and all that goes hand in hand with this, okay? So take advantage of it. This is just an example. They'll update it. Mississippi State will update it. Other colleges might already have theirs updated. But take advantage of this. This is a perfect time to start a dialogue about college, okay? So let's go to the next slide. All right. So when we're talking about money, that net price calculator will carry on to how are we going to pay for college. So to me, college financial aid is so important. And I call it a big oak tree. Financial aid is a big oak tree with 4 strong branches, okay? So there's 4 types of financial aid is what I'm trying to say. The first one is called outside aid. Outside aid are from entities who maybe have nothing to do with school. They just want to help local seniors or national seniors in high school go to college and help pay for it, okay? So maybe your counselor at your school, at your local high school, or they have blogs, they have websites, they have Facebook pages, they have Twitter pages. Maybe they post scholarships all day long, okay? Now, when I say outside scholarships and I say national entities, there's a lot of national entities who want to help kids go to college. I can name a few right off top. Walmart, Best Buy, Milk used to do it, Hershey used to do it, places like that. Let me say this. The honest truth of it is that private scholarships are out there, guys. There's millions of dollars out there for private scholarships. But here's the catch. 9 times out of 10, your student, you recognize I said your student has to write essays. And typically when I'm in front of 500 seniors and I ask them how many want outside scholarships, and they all can show me their hands. And when I say who's willing to write a scholarship, write an essay to win that scholarship, out of 500, maybe 450 of them put their hands down. Students are just not that excited about writing essays to win scholarships, but that's just a part of it, okay? I will say this, only about 13% of students win national scholarships because they're competing with everyone else in the country. Now, if you want a better bang for your buck, I would say we do local scholarship. You see the third tab that I have up there, local scholarships. So local scholarships may come from local places around your high school area, a local bank, a local insurance agency. They might come to your counselor. Now, they typically will come to your counselor in the spring of your senior year, okay? And they'll come and they'll drop applications off. So make sure your seniors will take advantage of this. So when they come back from Christmas break, maybe, early January, late January, they start going to their counselor saying, hey, has anyone dropped any local scholarships off, okay? So we're going to keep moving, guys. The next part of financial aid is called college aid. As you can see, the number one thing that I listed is academic merit. In Mississippi and typically a lot of other colleges around the country, the first thing they look at are your ACT scores and your GPA, okay? Those are called academic merit scholarships. But I tell students all the time, and I'm telling you parents, just because your student's not valedictorian or salutatorian does not mean they will not qualify to get other existing scholarships. As we go down the list, leadership. I heard Kierstan earlier tell you guys that with her resume, she was awarded a leadership scholarship to help her pay for college. Phi Theta Kappa. Look, a lot of people don't know what Phi Theta Kappa is, or they do, and they have a misconception of what it is. So let me explain it. Phi Theta Kappa is an international honor society for community college students who are transferring to 4-year public or private universities. Now, typically every school in the country has a Phi Theta Kappa scholarship. So let me give you an example. A lot of students get so discouraged when they want to go to a big 4-year school straight out of high school, but maybe their ACT score is not that high. Maybe I get an 18 to 19, maybe even a 20, 21. Going to some 4-year public or private schools, that just doesn't cut it when I start looking for academic merit money, okay, scholarships. So what do? Here's plan B. I'm not saying that we're going to have to reroute from plan A, but maybe we just go off task for a minute and come back on. So I decided to go to my local community college, all right? The beauty of that is once I get into my local community college, my ACT score is forgotten. Now it's all about my GPA. So if I get into my community college, I take care of my business. I keep a high GPA, a 3.5 my freshman year. By the time my sophomore year rolls around, my fall semester, I will be getting a letter, or you will be getting a letter from Phi Theta Kappa. Now, Phi Theta Kappa is probably one of a few private entities that will mail you a letter and says, we want you to be a part of our organization. It will cost you 85 to 90 bucks. They are probably one of only a handful that I will vouch for. You need to pay that 85 to 90 bucks for your student to be a part of Phi Theta Kappa. With that being said, once they transfer to a 4-year public or private schools, every school has their own Phi Theta Kappa scholarships. Some schools might pay you for a Phi Theta Kappa scholarship $8,000 over your junior and senior year, so $4,000 a year. Some schools around Mississippi will pay your full tuition at that school with a Phi Theta Kappa scholarship. So just different schools have different Phi Theta Kappa scholarships, but that is such a plus if you're a community college student looking to transfer to a 4-year school, okay? Financial need. I'm not going to read all these to you guys. You are very intelligent people, but one of the things I always want to talk about is financial need. I get parents all the time who says, look, I'm going to Ole Miss, I'm going to Jackson State, I'm going to Alcorn, I'm going to Delta State, and we make a pretty good living. So why are we doing this? We're not trying to get any financial need. We're not going to get any financial need from this certain school. That might be true at the schools I just named. But different schools have a different definition of financial need. So let me give you an example. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Stanford in California. Stanford's a really competitive school. It takes a lot to be accepted in. But if you get accepted, if you can get past the admission process and get enrolled, Stanford says if your household income is below $125,000, you show financial need to Stanford. We actually had a young man from Clinton High School about 3 years ago who got into Stanford. His household income was below $125,000. guys, let me just tell you, this young man is going to Stanford for absolutely free. Stanford provided him with grants and scholarships to help him pay for his years at Stanford. So don't let the word financial need deter you from applying to certain schools. Different schools have different definitions of financial need, okay? Moving on. The third part of financial aid, guys, is called federal aid. I don't know how many of you have ever heard of the FAFSA, but the FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. Let me make this clear. The FAFSA does not award anything. All the FAFSA is a free application that students that fill out and schools use, okay? Now, when we fill out the FAFSA, the simplest way I can tell you the FAFSA is used is it looks at your household size and your household income. So what's that mean? That means we need your taxes. If we need your household income, we need your taxes, okay? Now, once we fill out the FAFSA gives us estimates. We tell the FAFSA one thing that we can do is fill out for the Pell Grant. The most common grant of the FAFSA is the Pell Grant. The max Pell Grant this year is $5,920. We also can let a school know on the FAFSA that we are interested in a work-study job. What is a work-study job? A work-study job is a job on campus that students can work probably no more than 20 to 25 hours a week, no more than 3 to 4 hours a day, and these students get paid. This money can go toward an outstanding balance they have at the school, or this money can go towards putting gas in their car or buying food for their dorm rooms. A work-study job is to help a student make money to support themselves on campus, okay? Also, the FAFSA also gives us an estimate of the student loans. The student loan, the max that a freshman can take out in a federal student loan is $5,500. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. But those are the three things that typically people look at the FAFSA for: grants, work study, and student loans, okay? So parents, I'll say this. If I have any students on here listening to us, I apologize. I know when it comes to students, they really don't care about loan rates. But we talked about the student loan, okay? So the student loans for 2017-18 interest rate for student loans, a subsidized loan for undergrad or an unsubsidized loan for undergrad is 4.45. Those are really student-friendly interest rates. So let me say this. We don't encourage just taking out student loans, but we know in this whole college process, in this whole college world, that sometimes it's inevitable. You have to take out a loan. But that being said, I would 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, look to take out a federal loan instead of from a private lender. Federal loans are always going to have a low interest rate. So you see it up here, it says direct subsidized loans for undergrad and direct unsubsidized loan for undergrad. They have the same interest rate, but let me explain the difference. So a subsidized loan means that the federal government is actually paying the interest on that loan while your student is in college. So once they graduate and they start to pay that money back, they didn't have any interest occurring during their school years. Now, it still could be possible after they graduate, if they have to pay that back. But during the actual school, while your students are in school, the federal government is paying the interest on that loan, on a subsidized. On an unsubsidized, the federal government is not paying any interest while you're in school. So when you get done, you're paying principal and interest that has built while you're in school and that will build while you're out of school. So that's the difference between unsubbed and subbed, okay? One thing I want to talk about before we move on is that direct plus loan. Now, this is a loan that when students get scholarships, they get grants, they get that student loan, and they still have a gap. This is a credit-based loan that schools offer to parents. So what that means is, parents, you will have to take out a loan for the remainder of the gap. It will tell you within 2 minutes if you qualify for a Parent Plus loan, okay? And if you have more questions about that, feel free to email us, call us. We can go more in depth with that. All right. Now, if you're not a first-time parent of someone completing the FAFSA, or if you filled out a FAFSA for yourself prior to this year, you know that the FAFSA typically goes live January the 1st. So what's that mean? If I have a school who wants the FAFSA done by February 1st, well, wait a minute. My job typically doesn't send me my W-2s until January 31st. How am I supposed to flip my taxes in 24 hours? So it was always a hassle. So what did we do? We always guesstimated or estimated what we thought our taxes would be. We filled out the FAFSA in early January. And then once our taxes were completed, maybe late February, early March, we had to go back into FAFSA and update it, right? Well, that was causing a lot of problems with families, students, because it had them believing maybe if you own your own business, maybe you kind of guesstimate on or estimate on what you thought you were going to make this year. And all of a sudden, when you get your taxes done, it's extremely higher than that. So you thought you were going to be freed up for all this need-based help, all these grant money, and now you're not. So that was a big dilemma. So the federal government finally heard our cries. So starting this year, well, actually it started last year, but for upcoming seniors this year, seniors can start filling out the FAFSA October 1st, okay? Now, why is that so great? It's because now we never have to wait on taxes. So as you can see, it says the FAFSA will be available starting October 1st of senior year, and it will be based on the previous year's taxes. So it's called prior year's taxes. So let me tell you, your seniors this year, October 1st, 2017, we can start filling out their FAFSAs using your 2016 taxes, okay? They will already be done by October. Even if you file for an extension, those taxes typically have to be done still by October. So it's in perfect timing. We don't have to guesstimate or estimate anymore. We have exactly the taxes. So remember, October 1st, 2017, upcoming seniors can start filling out the FAFSA using their 2016 taxes, okay? Now, let me explain what the FAFSA is really used for. Schools use the FAFSA to determine your financial need. It says we use expected family contribution to determine your financial need. Here is the formula for financial need. Cost of attendance of a college minus expected family contribution. So let me explain, all right? A couple years ago, I was in DC. I talked to someone who has a better understanding of the whole process of this and the whole formula. The EFC, guys, is basically an assumption. So say, for instance, you're married and you make $50,000 and your husband or your spouse makes $50,000. So with this formula, it could be assumed that if you've been making $50,000 for 10 years, or they expect you to make another $50,000 for the next 10 years, that you should possibly have a certain amount of money saved. Because here's the truth of it. Colleges, we expect colleges to pay for, for you to go to school, but colleges believe that the first obligation comes from parents. So that's where EFC comes from, expected family contribution. So let me give you an example. So if you and your spouse make $50,000 apiece, whether it's 10 years prior or 10 years in the future, they feel like that with that income, maybe you should have $5,000 saved to contribute to your students' education. So with that being said, now my expected family contribution is $5,000. Now, that will never change, no matter how much the cost of attendance is. Maybe I go to a school like Mississippi State, and my cost of attendance is $25,000. My expected family contribution is $5,000. So my financial need is $20,000. Now, school's going to have to figure out, and they're going to try their best to help me with that $20,000, meaning grants, meaning scholarships, meaning loans, okay? Well, maybe my school is $50,000 cost of attendance. My EFC does not change. It is still $5,000. Now, a school will determine my financial need to be $45,000. And now they're going to try to help me with my financial need of $45,000, meaning grants, scholarships, and loans. That is the real purpose of the FAFSA. I know that's a lot of information. It might be overwhelming, but I just wanted to give parents, I would never tell this to students in a student workshop, but maybe you want to know the real need of the FAFSA, okay? Now, guys, independent or dependent, whose information do I use on the FAFSA? We get a lot of questions about this. We get a lot of assumptions about this. And typically, I'll tell you, it comes from word of mouth. If you hear something from a parent or I heard something from this, and typically it gets out, and so there's a lot of myths out there. Let me just say this. Here's a rule to live by that you'll never go wrong when it's time to fill out the FAFSA and whose information do I use. A student only uses their income and, let me say it again, a student only uses their income and a parent's income or only a student's income. Once again, I'm going to say it one more time. A student only uses their income and the parents or just the students. So there's a lot of criteria that you have to meet to make you an independent student, meaning that a student uses their own taxes. But I'll give you a couple examples that we see a lot. If you're 24 years of age, you are an independent student, okay? Maybe you're in a legal guardianship. Maybe you live with your grandmother and she's your legal guardian. You are an independent student. Maybe you have a student has a child that they provide more than half or at least half the expense of that child. They are considered an independent student. Maybe you've been awarded a court since the age of 13. You are considered an independent student. If you don't meet those 4 and about another 5 that we can actually give you if you need them, you are a dependent student and you have to use your parents' income, okay? That is something that we run into a lot, so I wanted to kind of clear that up. Now, look, we talked about the 4 types of financial aid. We've covered 3 of them. The first one was outside aid. The second one was college aid. The third one was federal aid. But guess what, guys? The good old state of Mississippi says, look, we don't want to leave you out in the cold either. We want to help you pay for college. So the state of Mississippi has 1 application, but 3 grants that you can qualify for with that 1 application. Now, I told you that the FAFSA uses your household size and your household income. For these first 2, the state of Mississippi does not care the household income. As long, for the first one, the Mississippi Tuition Assistance Grant, we call it MTAC. As long as your student, I'm sorry, went back a little bit too far. As long as your student has a 15 on the ACT and a 2.5 GPA, they are eligible for MTAC. MTAC is $500 your freshman year, $500 your sophomore year, up to $1,000 your junior year and $1,000 your senior year. So if your student has a 15 on the ACT, a 2.5 GPA, and hear this, if they don't get a full Pell Grant from the federal government, they are eligible for the MTAC. And that is $500 your first 2 years, $1,000 your last 2 years, okay? The next one, which is the MESG, is a little more stout, I like to say. It is a 29 on the ACT and a 3.5 GPA, and they award you $10,000 over 4 years, so $2,500 a year, okay? That is with a 29 on the ACT and a 3.5 GPA. Now, for that MTAG and that MESG, guys, all your student has to do once they get into college is maintain that 3.5 and that 2.5, okay, to get either one of those. Now, remember, I said those 2 do not have an income level, but the last grant from the state of Mississippi, it does. It's called the HELP Grant. The HELP Grant is the only part of the state of Mississippi application that has a need-based component, but it is for a very, very good reason. You see what it says at the bottom? The HELP Grant pays full tuition and required fees at any public university, at any public school in Mississippi. We have 8 4-year public schools. We have 7 private schools. We have 15 community colleges. It pays tuition at those 15 community colleges, those 8 public universities, and at those 7 private schools, it pays the tuition of the closest public school to that private school. So if I'm thinking about going to MC's tuition, I would say is around $15,000. The closest public school to MC is Jackson State. Their tuition might be $7,500. So it applies that $7,500 of Jackson State's towards the 15 at MC's. I hope that makes sense to you, okay? Here's the criteria for the help. Your student has to have a 2.5 GPA. They have to have at least a 20 on the ACT. They have to meet what we call IHL required college prep curriculum classes. Let me just tell you, that is a big word, but let me break it down. It is the classes that your student needs to graduate from their local high school, plus a couple of advanced electives. Let me name some. A foreign language, 1 and 2, Spanish 1 and 2, things like that. Maybe a STEM class, maybe an advanced world geography class. Those things are called advanced electives. So we have a list that we can actually send you if you want to know if your student meets all those classes, okay? So they have to have a 2.5 GPA, at least a 20 on the ACT. They have to meet what we call IHL required college prep curriculum. And look, here is the need-based component. Remember, this is the only grant from the state of Mississippi out of those 3 that have a need-based component. So either this makes you or breaks you. If you meet all the other requirements and your household income for that one student is $39,500 or below, you are eligible for the HELP Grant. For every sibling that your student has under 21, you add $5,000 to that $39,500. And if you're still under that financial umbrella and you meet all the other requirements, you are eligible for the HELP Grant. Guys, let me just tell you this. A low-income student, there is no way a low-income student can go to a 4-year public school without the HELP Grant. because the Pell Grant is just not another. Pell Grant doesn't even pay tuition at a four-year public school. But if a student gets a Pell Grant and the HELP Grant, and typically, with that being said, they'll probably get a need-based scholarship or grant from the school. Typically, a need-based grant from the school of choice. That way, they can go to school. I'll give you an example. I have a young lady from Pearl High School who has the HELP Grant, Pell Grant, and Ole Miss gave her the Ole Miss Opportunity Grant. Guys, she absolutely loves Ole Miss. She wanted to go there. We figured out this way to get her there. She goes to Ole Miss for absolutely free. All she does is fill out the application with me every year. She keeps a 2.5 GPA, and she goes to Ole Miss and she will go to Ole Miss for the next 4 years for free. The HELP Grant is wonderful. So if you meet that criteria, guys, you need to be on board with that. Now, with that being said, Kierstan told you about appointments earlier. Guys, either we're going to be in your school or you can schedule a one-on-one appointment. We will help you complete the FAFSA and the state application in a 30-minute session, okay? So all you do is show up and bring the things we ask you to do. We handle the rest. All right. So this is something new. This is something new with the state of Mississippi. So that being said, the state had to, every year, sometimes the state has cuts in budget. So the state had to come up with different things, because I know some of you probably had seniors or students in college who you're like, well, this didn't apply to them. They change rules every year. So here are the new rules. A student must enroll and earn at least 15 credit hours at a college to receive state aid, whether that's MTAC, MESG, or the HELP Grant. They have to enroll and earn at least 15 credit hours, okay? Also, this is new. Students will receive aid from only one state grant program. So in the past, if you got MESG and MTAG, you could stack those, or you could get HELP and MTAG, you could stack those. Well, that's no more. You can only get the highest one you qualify for. So if you qualify for MESG and MTAG, you will only get MESG from now on. If you qualify for MTAG and HELP, you'll only get HELP from now on, okay? Those are new rules that the state has put in place this year. All right, so once again, students must enroll and earn at least 15 credit hours to receive state aid. That's 15 credit hours a semester, okay? Students will receive aid from only one state grant program, meaning that you cannot stack state aid anymore. All right. That is the website that you can fill out the state aid application. But once again, if you set up an appointment with us or you sign up for your school FAFSA day, whoever's there will help you do both of them within a 30-minute session, guys, okay? Parents, I've done this for your benefit. So there's a lot of students who need that HELP grant, but there's a lot of students who don't get it. And it's not because they don't meet the criteria. It's because they don't turn to everything they need to. So the Mississippi application has to be done by March 31st to qualify for the HELP grant. And then there's additional documentation that the student has to turn in by April 30th. Now, you would be surprised at how many students this year, guys, did not receive the HELP grant. And it's not because they didn't meet the criteria, like I said earlier. It's because they did not turn in all the things they needed to by April 30th. The state of Mississippi sends them an email that looks like this. It has their Mississippi PIN. It tells them what they're missing. It tells them how to log into their profile, and it tells them what they're missing. But sometimes they think it's junk. They never look at it until they get that final notice that says, this is your final notice, or we're emailing to inform you that you will not receive the HELP grant because you didn't turn in documentation. Well, the best thing that the state did was they allowed parents to put their email addresses on it. So if you fill this out on your own, or you get us to fill it out for you, we will make sure we put your additional email on this application. So you will receive this, parents, and we will make sure, and you can make sure, that your student does not miss out on the HELP grant because they didn't turn in one sheet of paper or updated one part of their profile, okay? So we want to make sure that doesn't happen. So this is what the email looks like. You can put your email address on there and you'll receive it as well. All right, winding down, I promise you. So due dates are closer than they appear. So here's some things we want to talk about. For upcoming seniors this fall, college applications. Kierstan told you that Ole Miss has already put their application for admission online. Jackson State, Alcorn will probably start August 1st. Our local community colleges will start late September, probably early October. So look out for those days and apply. You need to apply first. College scholarship applications. Different schools have their own set of scholarship deadlines. So make sure you fill out those applications and meet those deadlines. Outside scholarships, the federal and outside scholarship, and we can give you a list of those. Those are ones that College Board, bigfuturecollegeboard.org. Let me think of another one. Meritaid.com. There's an abundance of them that we can give you. You can either email us or call us. We can give you a couple of those. They typically have fall deadlines, a November, a December deadline, okay? But remember, local outside scholarships, typically that people will bring from your community to give your counselor, will have spring deadlines. That could be a late January, early February, as late as April to apply to those. So make sure your students are taking advantage of those outside scholarships, and they're going to see their local counselor in the spring, okay? FAFSA and state aid, they both go live October the 1st. Either you can check with your counselor to see if she's scheduled a FAFSA day, and we'll come in and help you like that, or you can call our office, and it doesn't matter. We have 3 locations, one on the coast, one in Jackson, one in North Mississippi. You can call your local office and set up a FAFSA appointment and come in for a one-on-one appointment, okay? In the spring, local scholarship, we just talked about that, but I can't say it enough. You will be surprised at how many local entities tell us that they just have money left on the table because students will not apply for their local scholarships. And the reason they don't know is because students don't go and ask their counselors about them. Maybe the counselors try to give them to them. Maybe they put them in their lockers or in their book bags and you never see them again, parents. So check with your students about that, okay? Campus visits. We fill out an application to 4 schools. We fill out the FAFSA. We send the FAFSA to 4 schools. Now in the spring, we want to figure out what's the best fit for us. Campus visits is a perfect way to figure that out, okay? That's one of them. The other one is, as Kierstan explained earlier, they're going to send financial aid packages out. You know, if finances is an issue, affordability is an issue, well, when those 4 send us our financial aid packages, we look at the 4 of them. We see which one's giving us the best bang for our buck, basically, or the most affordable college, and that's the one we choose, all right, typically. And then that May 1st deadline, remember, national deadline, the national deadline is May 1st. For your public and for your privates, want you to have your decision made typically by then, because that gives them another opportunity to, put money in other places to help other students if they know you're coming or if you're not coming. So May 1st is a big deadline nationally. So guys, if you have your phones, your parents or students, if you have your phones, I would just pull out your phone and screenshot this. This is just a small timeline of some things that we talked about today that you need to be doing. Number 1 is apply. Remember, July, August, October are a good time to apply. ACT. Kierstan talked to you about ACT prep. Make sure your students are taking the ACT. Juniors, take it a couple times, maybe twice. Seniors, take it twice. That's my recommendation. I normally tell juniors to take it twice their junior year, which their high school provides one of them for free, guys. A high school resume, if you're trying to get foundation scholarships, leadership scholarships, trying to get to an honors program, trying to set yourself apart, a high school resume is the way to do it. Number 4 is really, really important. You're going to have a lot of questions. You're going to have a lot of worries. Your student needs to find their local recruiter for the school of choice that you're thinking about attending, and that needs to become their best friend. These people can help them navigate through the whole application process, financial aid process, campus tours. They can find you extra money if they think you really need it, if you show a lot of interest. And Kierstan talked about the job shadowing, the interns, letters of recommendation. If you need those from counselors, coaches, principals, your friend who's a doctor, a lawyer, you need to give that person at least a 2-week notice. A lot of students need those letters of recommendation for scholarships, foundation scholarships, leadership scholarships, trying to get to the honors program. The net price calculator, guys, take advantage of that. That can start a dialogue that could really, really benefit you guys in the long run. FAFSA and state aid, go live. We would love to help complete that application for you. Give us a call, set up an appointment. Number 10 are a couple websites that we talked about with the private scholarships. FastWeb is one. Big Future College Board is one. Merit Aid is one. These are just there's numerous websites out there, but these are just some that we know are legit, okay? And last but not least, guys, we really appreciate it. My name is Danny Thompson. You talked to Kierstan earlier. We work for the Get to College Center. We're a program of the Woodward Hines Education Foundation. That's our website. Get on our website, see all the free things we offer you. Everything we do is absolutely free. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this. here's a little secret. This was our first one, so I hope we did a pretty good job. I hope you guys will continue to sign up. And I'm going to turn it back over to Malia to kind of shut it down and close it out. And I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Danny, and thanks to all of you for joining us today. That wraps up our presentation. So we have been recording, and we will email everyone the recording and post it on our website. Danny mentioned making an appointment, and Kierstan as well. And if you do not live near one of our 3 centers in Jackson, South Haven, or Ocean Springs, you can do a remote appointment through screen share or video chat. So you can go ahead and contact us through our website, and thanks for joining us.